everyone, it's Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, back with another Canadian Immigration Live Q&A. It's been a little spotty, and I apologize for that. I have taken some time away over the last little stretch, and so because of that, there's been twice where I've been out of range, essentially fishing on the stream and no ability to connect in, and then I forgot we'd scheduled it. So my sincerest apologies for last week, for not being available to do the live Q&A. It's great to see all of you guys. And as always, post in the comments where you're tuning in from. And we're going to dive right in and get to answering a ton of questions. Now, there's been a lot of things going on in immigration throughout the summer. I just got an email from one of the staffers of the immigration minister just a couple days ago to confirm that all of you representatives out there, you immigration consultants and lawyers, we have been really frustrated with basically being cut out of the process when people are applying for their applications. And with the new creation of online application portals for permanent residence, citizenship, even the landing process in Canada, really representatives have been taken a real beating lately. But I got an email directed specifically to me from one of the head staffers for Minister Medicino, and she provided the link that confirms September is when they're targeting to allow representatives to have an interface to assist with the filing of online PR applications, which is great news, because I'll tell you, the ranks of the Canadian Bar Association, the lawyers, they were really upset. And, there was lots of discussion about a class action lawsuit and a bunch of other things to basically prevent immigration from cutting us out of the process when people have a legal right to be represented if they choose to do so. Now, obviously, you guys know that with my practice, I've changed a lot and I've transformed, and I do a lot of assistance with reviewing applications for clients, but I still do represent clients in some circumstances. And to ultimately have an inability to represent a client in the way that we always have because of new advances in IRCC's portals and online filing, well, that's a huge issue. And so as the national chair of the Canadian Bar Association, it was really important for me to really advocate and push for this. And it's interesting because a lot of the work that we do in the background with the Canadian Bar Association is just that. It's in the background. We don't publish it. We don't say, pat me on the back, look at all the wonderful things we're doing. We quietly work in the background with immigration. We have a wonderful relationship with IRCC right now, and they've been really good at liaising with us and collaborating with us, and they've really valued the assistance that us immigration lawyers have been providing. And so it's nice to see that things are moving forward positively, and we hope for a lot more good things to come. Now, with that being said, I'm all about you guys. And so it's not so much about me and my ability to easily, file an application on your behalf. What I'm all about is the process that will give you, as an individual applicant, the greatest chance of success. And that's what I'm all about. And that's why I've transformed a lot of the work that I do to our collaborative review process. And you guys can head over to the website if you'd like to learn more about that. All right. So what else do we have? Well, one of the things that we are starting to see is rumors about changes to Express Entry. And I am planning to do a video specifically on some of these rumors about Express Entry and how it's going to look, whether changes are coming through, when they're going to be adopted. There's also some very interesting developments on the use of artificial intelligence when it comes to decision-making in the context of spousal sponsorships even. And I'm hoping to get my good friend Will Tao on, an immigration lawyer practicing out in Vancouver with Heron Law, to join me to talk about some of the interesting things that are happening with study permit applications. And many of you out there, I know, are in you may very well be caught in this horrible world of refusals after you've had that first eligibility assessment, completed. And then you start school, pay money, and then ultimately immigration says, oh, sorry, we're going to refuse your study permit. There's definitely going to be some lawsuits or things like that in that context if immigration continues down this process. Now, just give me a second. All right. Nothing like someone trying to ping your phone. Okay. So anyways, back to the mix. We're also seeing that the TR to PR pathway, and I'm going to just shift my screen over here. And I got to do a little bit of adjustment here. Seems like that's a pretty common thing that I have to do. And then even me, so that I am centered on here. Everything is just live and freewheeling here. So let me get over here. There we go. Now you guys can see me a little bit better. So here you can see with the rounds of invitations, we have yet to see an open draw. And I think many of you know that. So if we go over here to the previous rounds and let's open this up, and then we can see right here that the last one was August the 5th. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Do you know what, guys? This is where there's something going on with my family. Hang tight, and I'll be back in a second. Yes, yes, I am back. So there we go. For some reason, my daughter thought my phone was hers, and she was repeatedly pinging it, trying to find it. But hey, that's what life is like when you have a busy household full of 4 children who are almost all adult. My youngest daughter, she's turning 16, but all the rest are all adults. It is a busy household. All right, but this is real. This is raw. This isn't some fancy, some fancy live stream. This is just a typical day in the Holthe home where I'm broadcasting from. So thanks for your patience. Okay, so back to the website like I was talking about. You can see here we're yet to have an open draw. We're due, right? August the 11th, August the 5th, the Thursday previous was when we did it. Now, whether we have one today or whether we have it in a week, there just isn't a specific pattern that we're seeing. Usually it's about 2 weeks with every draw, but you can see here with the number of that they're drawing, the last one was only 3,000. So they're starting to reduce the number of draws. And when those numbers start to reduce, then you can see here that then the CRS score starts to increase. And that's just the way this works. PNPs are a separate beast. We don't even worry about the PNPs. But you can see the numbers have slowly started to go down. So 6,000, 4,500, 4,500, 3,000. And why? We've talked about this on a number of occasions. The temporary, the TR to PR pathway right here, you can see this is largely why. They're now starting to process these applications in force. And I want to just let everybody know something. Just because you filed at a certain time and everybody's so fixated with this stuff doesn't mean that you are going to expect an AOR at a certain time. Officers process applications faster. Some are just faster. They're quicker. So you may see other people getting acknowledgements of receipt before you receive them. And so don't get too worked up over that. I've got a client with a large family. He's finally got his acknowledgement of receipt. He's got his request for his police certificate, which was from a country that required an invitation basically from IRCC to get it. And also the biometrics and things that he's completing. And so he actually didn't receive his acknowledgement of receipt until quite a while after other people that had even filed after he filed his TR to PR pathway. So don't get worked up over those things. And at this stage, I want to put out a request to all of you. Does anyone know of anyone who's actually received a refusal on their TR to PR pathway? This is something I'm asking frequently of individuals. Do you know if anyone has received an actual refusal on the TR to PR pathway? Because I'm yet to see it. Okay, all right. So let's just jump in and just give some quick shout outs. So Vivesh here, good to see you from Ottawa. Those of you who are posting questions, hold off for now and we'll get to those in just a second. Ralph, it's good to see you. And I can see little Jaden in there. And I think if I'm not mistaken, his birthday is coming up in just a few weeks. So make sure you guys watch your mail because I know I'll be away and I won't be able to attend the birthday of Jaden, but I do have something that's coming for him. I'm doing great. Visud. Okay, doing well, Noor. It's great to have all of you guys connecting. And so, hey, well, my name isn't Mary, but that's close. I think that's a perfect example of a typo. So I'm doing good. It's good to see you as well. Yeah, Ralph's in Edmonton. Ebru's in Ottawa. Alexa is over. Oh, great. Working from home in Toronto. Ali's over in Pakistan. Nisrin, good to see you. Let's see who else. Hey, Abdul, good to see you. What's up? And Abdul is actually a former subscriber to the Express Entry step-by-step course. And I guess that's a good segue over here into the courses that we have on the Canadian Immigration Institute. And you can just click on the link below. Express Entry is coming up fast. It's going to be starting the first masterclass September the 13th. I've got time I'm taking away in August, and then school's getting started for the kids and everything in September. So I thought I'll wait till the second week so you can access the course right here for the start date of September the 13th, and just click on the link below. All right, let's see. And actually I'll show you one other thing here. Typically what I do when it comes to the courses, like the Express Entry course, you can click here to get background information on it. And then I always include the comments from people who took it. And you can see right up here at the top, there's Abdul. He's one of the individuals that that left a review for me after he took the course. So go check that out. And I'm excited to actually get back to teaching because it's been a little while since I've done the courses. Okay, let's see what else we have. And there's another past student, Thasura. It's good to see you as well. Okay, let's see here. We've got Mohammed's Afghanistan. Great. We haven't had someone from Afghanistan for a while. And Nisrin is over in Syria. Fantastic. Thanks for joining. Let's see here. We'll jump to a few more. We've got South Africa, Elaine. We've got Noor in Algeria. This is awesome. Yes, and I'll just throw Jason out there. Have you heard of outland applicants receiving PPRs? Yes, they are, but it is not going fast. So they're still sorting out a bunch of things. The virus depends on the country. Some countries, things are just not moving forward. Others, it is. So there's a lot of factors, but hold off on your questions for now. Mace is over in Jordan. Great to see you. Let's see here. Yes, Karen, family first. That is why I do everything that I do. Okay. Family first, faith second, and then work third. That's kind of how it works. Yeah, neutral, you're right. Is anyone ever, are we ever going to see that? I sure hope so. Abdul, what is use if we don't have a chance to immigrate? You do, my friend. Hang in there. By the way, I love the way how you went in the middle of the live show. You should do a reality show. I probably should. Okay, excellent. Oh, Gail, good to see you. Good to have you connecting from Belgium. That's awesome. And let's see what else we have. We've got a bunch. Surrey Village is here. Colombia. Great to see you, Pedro. Singapore. M's over in Singapore. Great. Hey, Sid, welcome to your first live. Big shout out to Sid. We've got Winnipeg. That's where I went and completed my law school at the University of Manitoba. So Libin, Abraham, it's good to see you. And yeah, first timer. I love first timers. I'm going to give you one of these. I'm going to turn on my sound effects here. There we go. I had my sound effects turned down. There's my sound effects. There's one for Al. All right. Excellent. Windsor and India and Dubai and South Africa. Awesome. Shrishti, that's all good. That's hilarious. I'm going to give you one of these because that's hilarious. I don't think I have anything that's kind of funnier. Maybe this one. Let's see. There we go. Oh, it's all good. Okay, let's see here. Yes, in Dubai, Bangladesh. This is fantastic. Thanks, guys, for letting me know. We've got Jerry over in England. Keith, Jerry, good to have you here, Keith. And as I zip through all of the other ones here, we've got Jamaica, Samantha, another Dubai. It's just awesome to see everybody all over. Germany and more India. Fantastic. We've got Puya over in Montreal. And okay, this is great. Yeah, we've got a ton of people. Egypt representation. And I really love just seeing where people are tuning in. So thank you so much for sharing where you're from. Okay, and I know that there's a bunch of other ones, including Jen here from the Philippines. And so welcome, you guys. It's awesome to have you here. Okay, now that we've done some of the introductions, what I'm going to have you do is you can post your questions now. Make sure that you put a Q in front of it. And then that's how I know it's a question and not just kind of general communication back and forth between people. Shout out to those watching on YouTube, those who are watching on Facebook. And yeah, it's great to have and see that there are people who are tuning in on all of the various platforms that we broadcast to. Okay, so Papa's got a procedural fairness letter from friend TR to PR. Thank you, Papa, for letting me know that. And you know, with the procedural fairness letters, it's really good because you have an opportunity to respond. And, you know, as far as the one thing I would recommend, Papa, is that your friends seriously consider seeking some advice or direction if they filed their own application, because those fairness letters basically mean that the officer has some serious concerns, but they're giving you a chance to redeem yourself. Now, one of the things you'll remember from the video I did on the program delivery instructions for the officers is that they, especially in the case of intention to reside outside the province of Quebec. I don't know if your friend is in Quebec, but clearly you have to demonstrate that. And that's one of the examples where the immigration officers are supposed to send out a PFL, procedural fairness letter to clients or candidates or applicants to allow them to try to respond to the concerns they have as to whether or not they truly do have an intention to reside outside the province of Quebec. But there's a whole host of other reasons as well, isn't there? That's a great question. And then I guess what I'll do is I'll just go over here and remind everyone as well. If we, you know, there'll be times where I will ring that bell right there. And you can just go to the website and you can book a consult with myself or one of the other lawyers in the firm. And we can help you to resolve those issues. And especially individuals like your friend here, I highly recommend they do get some advice. Okay, let's see who else we have. Fernie's over in Honduras. Ryan's over in Trinidad. And we have Tunisia. Great. Okay, the Newfoundland PMP, any update? No, there's no real updates, Al. Yeah, I don't have any updates for, and I'm assuming you mean Newfoundland, maybe. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. Yeah. Not quite sure what NL is other than maybe Newfoundland. Okay. Abdul, you look younger from last time. What I'm doing is getting out, and I'm actually going fishing and enjoying the mountains. And on Friday, I'm planning to slip away early and go walk along this beautiful mountain stream. And I think you guys probably saw, I did a video just previously on my little fishing escapade, which was quite fun. And I'm going to continue to do more of those. Okay, Kenya, great to see you. Hassan. Yeah, Sonia, it's just a matter of priorities. So ultimately, when it comes to expired COPRs, why are they so slow? You know, I don't think I have a real direct answer. It depends on the country, like I said. It depends upon their internal staffing and their priorities. And I don't have a really good answer for it anymore, Sonia. We keep saying the same things. But ultimately, anything that's, you know, when it comes to expired COPRs, it could be the country even that you're coming from. All right. Infopedia, CEC 409, any chance? I'm going to ring this bell and I'm going to push this and say, hey, when it comes to whether or not you're eligible, whether or not you've got a chance, slide over here and book a consult and we can look at everything and see what options you have. But for the Canadian Experience class, it depends on what they're going to do in a couple weeks. If they decide that they're going to maybe extend it to a few more people, in other words, let's flip back here. Let's say they're going to open it up to 4,000 or maybe even keep it at 3,000. The last draw was 404. So I'm thinking in your situation, if you're sitting at 409, I think there is a chance. I think there really is. So, all right. Okay. Yes, we've seen that. Ian spoke to the call center and was told that everything is done and passed. Only finalization is left. My question is, what does finalization mean? Is it going over the documents again? No, it's just the officer putting things together to actually issue your passport request, depending on if you're in Canada, or setting things up to do the actual in Canada landing process through the online portal. So that's usually what that is referring to at that stage, finalization. Okay. All right, excellent. Another India representation. Minimum PR score for Canada. My goodness, Arjun, that is an open-ended question. that is, if you're talking about express entry in Canada, well, we know the last minimum score was 404, and that was sufficient to get a draw through the CEC. So we'll see how that plays out. All right. Okay, here's a good question, Vita. I'm also going to ring that bell. I'm going to flip over here and take you right back to the consult page. That's where you want to go to book a consult, because ultimately when it comes to advice, specific advice, it's not something that I can do here in the context of a YouTube or a Facebook comment and a live stream. So FSW with spouse 481, without spouse 506, what should I do? I think 481 will get you there. I think it will. Now, I don't know your age. I don't know, once they start to do open draws, then I think you've got a pretty good shot at 481. I think the initial ones might be right in that range, and then it will start to settle down. But at this stage, yeah, 481 is pretty high with a spouse. I'm assuming at 506 you have French or something like that as well to boost it. But the best bet, Vita, is just to go over here to our website and book a consult. And all you have to do is just click on the link, and there's a link below as well. I'll just pull this down so you can see the page a little bit better. The book a consult right here on the main screen, on the main page, you can find it right there. All right. Okay. Next on the list here, let's see here. Okay, Hitesh says, I have 30 days left for CEC and I've applied for tier to PR May 6th. So what do you suggest? Apply, submit your application. I will always pursue both options, because you just do not know which one is going to work. And with the volatility of immigration, like when I do my reviews with clients, like it works, right? When I'm working directly with them, but I can't tell you how many consultations I have every single week where individuals have made the slightest little mistake and their application has been refused. And that's why I'm always so curious with this TR to PR pathway, because remember, they're not supposed to be as cruel as they are with express entry. And because of that, we're not seeing the same kinds of refusals that we would normally see with express entry. But with express entry, they're cruel. Now, we don't know what TR to PR pathway. If it's just a race to getting it approved, it's hard to say, right? It's hard to say which one would get through first. But in my position, if you have an ITA and you're getting ready to file, I would absolutely do that. And remember, Hitesh, within all that we do within Holthe Immigration Law, which is my law firm, one of the things that we do more than anything else is reviewing through our collaborative review process, the express entry EAPR filing. And so if you go here and you check out About Us, you can learn all about our approach right here and our collaborative review approach, which absolutely I will never go back. I had a client who really wanted me to do a full representation, but no, this is so much better, allowing you guys to have control, but then me to help you personally every step of the way. And that's how the collaborative review works. Okay, let's see what Vishvesh says here. Not a question, but my friend had 2 to 3 mistakes in his form. It was not rejected. He was told to refill the form with corrections right there. Thank you so much, and send again. So they are giving chance to everyone. Yes, I am so grateful, because of the way they set it up, the urgency and the haste in which they forced everybody to prepare and file with less than a day's notice. Now, those who subscribe to my TR to PR pathway course, which is still open for you healthcare workers and you Francophone speakers, they were all prepared and they knew what to expect. But even then, mistakes were not, they weren't uncommon. Like, people made mistakes even in those circumstances. So yeah. Okay, Sanjeev says, explain 1,560 hours and 1 year work experience. Well, it's pretty simple. It's a minimum of 30 hours a week, and you have to work for a full year. So that's 12 months. If you accumulated 1,560 hours in 11 months, it won't cut it. You have to work at least 1 year. And for most people, that means you're going to have way more than 1,560. If you're working full-time, 40 hours a week, then of course you're going to have more than 1,560 hours. But that's what it means. You cannot claim the 1 year minimum work experience without actually working a full year. You can't work more hours and accumulate it faster. And that's why and I'll just show you guys here. I always love to show the source of my information. If we go FSW eligibility, we can look at this one. It's the same thing. But we'll just pull this up, and then I'll just shift down here. And when you're looking at the eligibility factors, and specifically the work experience. We'll get down here, proof of funds. Oh, let's jump back here. Skilled work experience. Okay, so you'll see right here, it says 30 hours a week for 12 months. So that means that you have to work at least 1 year of full time with a minimum of 1,560. And then you'll see right here, we don't count any hours you work above 30 hours per week. And that is what that means, Sanjeev. Okay, good question. Good question. Yeah. Do you know what, Sapinder? I'll tell you right now, watch the travel restrictions. Watch how Canada, what Canada does with India. Look at the rates of infection, the Delta virus. Look when the visa offices, really, they may be processing and they may be open in some cases, but ultimately it's the travel restrictions. And until they start opening that up and there isn't that that challenge right now, you're not going to see a lot of PPRs for individuals in India. Hopefully that's going to change. Okay. All right. Parth, this is a big issue. Okay. One of my friends forgot to select the visa refusal. He had with his US refusal. He applied from inside Canada. What should he do? Yep. International grad tier to peer. And do we need our jobs ongoing if we get COPR? So first question is, he needs to immediately try to correct that before an officer makes any kind of finding of misrep, because they have repeatedly found misrepresentation when people have failed to identify a visa refusal to the US or any other country. And so they have shown a willingness to ban the person for 5 years from Canada and refuse their application. So Parth, like I said with most people, I recommend that your friend book a consult so we can look at this and take a serious look at what the best options are. But your friend, it's going to be, it is something you can't just shove under the rug, as we say. It's something you have to address. And then, do you need our jobs ongoing if we get COPR? No, you don't. At the end of the day, if you have you got a super chat from Deval in Asia. I didn't know I had super chat on here. That's hilarious. Okay. Do we need our jobs ongoing? So basically, if you have a job offer and if it's an FSW application, then you need your job to be in place when you get your confirmation of permanent residence. But after you get your confirmation of permanent residence, then even if the company has said we'll employ you for 1 year after you become a PR, if you choose to go do something else, you're free to do that. So, it says if we get COPR, and your question is, do we need our jobs ongoing? The short answer is no, you don't, when it comes to actually getting your confirmation and continuing to be employed. So you're not locked in, you're not forced to necessarily work with that employer, but you do have to be careful, because based on what you've said, Parth, I don't want you to make any decisions or on quitting a job or anything before you do this and book a consult with me. So legally, the pure basis of the law doesn't force someone to keep working after they become a PR, but there may be other factors that you haven't yet, or other facts that you haven't shared with me. So I recommend that you book a consult. Okay. Let's see, Alina. Let's see what Alina has here. Okay, Alina says, is it possible to apply for a post-grad work permit at the same time with my husband's open work permit extension? Should we just attach the confirmation of application to my post-grad for his application? Well, the reality is your husband's open work permit extension is, well, based on what I assume it is, I'm assuming your husband's is an accompanying spouse. You are the principal applicant. So the extension application is tied to your post-grad work permit application. But here's the kicker. If this is what I believe it to be, if your spouse is accompanying you, you have to show when you transition from a student to a worker that you're working in a skilled occupation, that you have a job offer that's at least a NOC skill level B or higher. If you don't do that, then immigration could refuse your husband's open work permit application. So, unless there's something else going on I'm assuming it's a spousal open work permit that your husband has. So just be very, very careful about that. Okay. Okay. So Vasud says, I know there's no Q there, but I'll still answer this. Will they actually process at least half the application? So I think the word that I heard on the street was about I think it was 40 to 45. And I think I showed you guys before, that response came from Standing Committee, Immigration, Canada, this right here. So it came from the notes or the minutes from a standing committee meeting that they did on basically, let's see, we're June, supplementary estimates. I'm just trying to see studies and reports, committee members. Okay, so basically, I'm not going to go into all of the meetings and everything, but essentially, one of the meetings where an immigration representative came, and I mean from immigration itself, one of the officers came and appeared before the standing committee to talk about, I think it was this May 12th briefing on the pathways for permanent residents. This one right here. That briefing and those the evidence, which are basically the minutes. I'm trying to remember who it was that actually appeared. I can't remember which witness it was. I think it was Daniel Mills, I think, right there, that had talked about effectively how many they'd hoped to process for the year. And so half is probably accurate. I know that's a little bit longer than most people wanted, but hey, trying to show you everything I've got there. Hey, one other thing I'll show you guys while I've got everybody's attention here that are looking for answers, I'll show you something else that's interesting. Right here, I think you guys probably know that there's the government of Canada is a democracy. And one of the most important pillars to that is transparency and openness. And so there are operational processing monthly IRCC updates that are posted on the Open Government website. And it gives a breakdown of the applications that are received for permanent residency by month, by source country. And there is data for all kinds of different things, temporary residents. And so when it comes to the numbers of people that are applying and the source countries and the statistics and things like that, the government of Canada does a really good job to explain this stuff. So, and make the statistics available for everyone. And they've done it, fairly quickly. Now, sometimes it's not immediate. In other words, we don't get the data maybe, in real time. There could be a lag of 6 months or sometimes a year or whatever, but it gives a really good idea of where people are applying from. And I think you guys probably know. So as Igor pointed out this morning to me, that there were probably under 200 people from the Ukraine that were applying last month, whereas from India, there was about 6,000 or 7,000. So that was a little interesting little side note. And I will be doing more videos come September once I dive back in and I'm into full work mode. All right. Okay. So Nisrin, translating documents. The triangle, you can book a consult and we can work through that if you have specific questions. But if it's in the context of Express Entry, I always go back to the completeness check. I love this page. It gives me all the answers that I'm looking for the purposes of Express Entry. And at the beginning of this page right here, you'll see that there's a section on translating of documents, okay? And then they also have definitions and things like that. And then you can see apply for permanent residence documents for Express Entry, explains how to meet these requirements. You can click on these links and go through, and they also have more details here on what your translation of documents needs to look like. All right, Nisrin, hopefully that was helpful for you. Okay, let's see what we have next. Okay, so George says, and George is also a past student from the course. Good to see you, George. He says, I requested my GCMS notes 4 months after filing. CEC Inland, is that bad at all? No, George. There's no problems with that, my friend. Okay. Yes, they are. Yeah, that's right. They're issuing PFLs. And that's basically what I talked about right in the very beginning with the TR to PR pathway program. It's the R10 check that is done for Express Entry that allows them to refuse. With the slightest little thing that's off, they can just return the whole application. They don't do that with the TR to PR pathway. They process to conclusion. So that's a good thing. And if any of you out there, and I should probably do a separate video on procedural fairness letters and how to respond to them now that people are starting to get them. But ultimately, if you get it, you don't want to take chances. Book a consult, slide over to our firm over here, and just click on the book a consult and set it up, and we can help you to make sure that this one shot that they're giving you, that you would never get with express entry, that you're still going to save your opportunity to immigrate. Okay. So Lovepreet says, so it doesn't matter if we applied earlier in peer-to-peer with all the rush. Well, no, if you applied in one of the first, and this is the thing, if you submitted your application within the first hour, well, your application is obviously going to be processed before anyone who, for example, if we go back here and look at the TR to PR pathway, you can see there's still spots available for healthcare workers, but it took a long time for the essential to fill up. And so anyone who is filing through here are likely not going to see their application processed until probably next year. There's some that got in quick that will be processed, but most of the international grads were the ones that are taking up those first few spots. And so, yeah, when it comes to the time that you applied, it is important. But when we're talking about, I submitted mine 3 minutes before this person here, well, yeah, that isn't necessarily going to make a big difference. Okay. All right. Let's keep going here. You're very welcome, Syed. It's, a blessing to find your videos. I love the term blessing, you guys. I think all of you probably know by now that I am a devout Christian. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. My wonderful youngest son, Connor, just got a mission call to go serve in Chile, Santiago. Now, whether he ultimately is able to go there, we'll see. But he reports the end of September to go serve his mission for the church. I served in Portugal, and that's how I really got into immigration generally, and how I love to, have this more cosmopolitan kind of approach to practice. That's what caused me to gravitate to immigration. I wanted to find a way to use my Portuguese language, and I gained such a love for the people in Portugal and for people all over the world, coming from Southern Alberta, where I was a poor farm boy and we didn't have anything. I grew up on a farm where we raised our own food. We had big gardens that we grew. We raised cattle, we raised chickens and turkeys and all kinds of animals. And that's how we survived. My mother worked as a licensed practical nurse for years, and that's what was used to kind of help supplement with cash. But my father had a 6th grade education, and my mother went to nursing school after completing only the 10th grade of school. And those are my roots. And so to then fly all the way across the ocean to a different country in 1992 and have that experience of seeing what other people in the world, how they lived, it just helped me to see that, wow, I am so blessed in my country. I am so, so grateful for Canada. I am so grateful for my country. And I'm so proud of it. And when I know all of these people all over the world who are not nearly as fortunate as I am, not even remotely as fortunate as I am, the thought of being a part in some way to helping people find their way to this beautiful country, this free democratic country where you can believe what you want to believe, where there's freedom of religion, where there's freedom of association, where there's all of these essential freedoms. You can believe whatever you want. You can, it's free of prejudice, free of discrimination. And yes, there's definitely things that were done awful in the past. And this whole world, and I don't want to get into this whole world of kind of cancel culture, but the reality is I want to move forward and make things better. I want to move forward and focus on that, and recognizing the mistakes that were made, but learning from them and moving forward. And so I'm so, so grateful for Canada, so grateful for my country, so grateful for the privileges that I enjoy in my life, and for all those who have gone before, who've kind of paved the way. So I'm so, so grateful. And yeah, especially my parents. And my father's no longer with me. And if you look behind me here, you can't really see it, but right there is a little picture of my father who passed away back in 1989. All right, there we go. A little sidetrack there. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, when I see anyone saying blessing, my goodness, I feel like my whole life is a gift from God. And that's why I do what I do. It infuses everything that I do. Okay. The Quebec stuff, I can't answer that, Jatin. I really don't know. Yeah, I feel for you guys. Apparently I said some things that weren't correct last time, so I just avoid that whole world like the plague. Now, with that being said, I'm hoping to pull Will Tao in to talk about some of the refusals that we're seeing within the context of study permits. And I'm hoping that Will, I don't know if he's responded yet to me here. Oh, that looks good. He said he's free on Friday. So what we're going to do is we're going to really, we're going to pull this up and we're going to have a chat, not this Friday, but the following Friday, which I think, is it the 20th? I'm trying to remember here. I think it's the 20th. Let's see. Yes, Friday the 20th. We're going to do that. We're going to do our live stream on the YouTube channel. And for those of you who are wondering, who are watching on Facebook, this is one you're not going to want to miss. We'll probably broadcast it as well out to the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page. Yeah, if you go to our YouTube channel, and I'm just going to pull up my YouTube channel, and looks like I won't pull it up because I have not signed in. It signed me out. Let's see if I can get back in. Okay, I'll leave that for now. Okay, anyways, but on the YouTube right here, watch for it. We'll send the reminder probably about a week before, and Will's going to join me, and we're going to dissect what's happening to international students. And my heart goes out to you guys. It really does. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so EC is asking about medicals, and those August 2020 CEC applicants are still on process. If medical is expired, are we going to get a new one? Well, you guys will remember that immigration is showing a lot of flexibility with immigration medicals. And in most cases, it depends on when you obtained your medical. But normally they will waive the need if you're in Canada for a new medical, but it's case by case specific. So immigration will let you know. But generally speaking, yeah, they are looking at waiving those for people that have been in Canada, never left, and had one previously. Okay, yes, and I'm going to do a special video, Mel, on this topic. So these expected changes for express entry, we're going to dive into those. I have not yet heard anything from immigration on this, other than, the access to information little, blurb that was obtained, that's being shared all over throughout the various social channels. I'll dive into that because at this stage we haven't yet had confirmation exactly the direction they're going to go. Okay. All right. Let's see who's next here. Okay, Ryan says, how can a farm worker that works in Canada apply for an open work permit? Well, it's because it'll have to be linked to a PR application in some form. And I'm not sure exactly what kind of farm worker you are. Skilled farm workers like specialized livestock workers and farm supervisors and NOC-B candidates have pathways through express entry. But depending on the province you live, Alberta is very facilitative. And I think what I might do, you guys, is actually do kind of a high-level overview of the best PNP programs for people who either don't have a job offer. That would be a good one to do, or the various PNP programs and which province is really the best if you're in Canada as a student, where you should go, where you should live, that gives you the most options and opportunities to become permanent residents. And I'll tell you, for the answer to that one, it's definitely not BC nor Ontario, because there are a gazillion of you guys in those provinces. All right. Mega, I really don't see it happening. At this stage, I don't see the TR to PR pathway opening. And the reason that I don't see it opening is because I think immigration at this stage, well, when we go back here and we look at the, let's see if we can find these, you can see here, when I see these numbers start to go down like this, that kind of suggests to me that, well, they must not be desperate for in Canada applicants anymore. If those numbers are going down for CEC, then that suggests to me that maybe the TR to PR pathway is not going to open up for international grads. But who would have thought on February the 13th that Draw 176 would have dropped the CRS score down to 75? So this is so interesting. These super chats, guys, I see them showing up here, but I don't know. I don't know how this is working. Like, maybe Igor set this up and I wasn't aware of it. So I apologize for anyone who's submitting a super chat. It's just popping up on my screen. It's something new, and I'm not quite sure how to deal with them because they are not showing up as a straight up link to my normal feed. So bear with me. We'll get that sorted out. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, here's a good question from Samantha. What's your advice for outlanders with applications pending who want to get married? Is it better to wait until after landing? What's the best option? That one, I have to ring the bell, Samantha, and direct you to head on over here to the site and book a consult with us. And the reason I say that is because every person's situations are different. And I can't give an answer that just is open for everyone. It's fact specific on whether it makes sense for you to proceed forward with that or whether it's better to wait and then land. One thing for certain, Samantha, you never ever want to get married and then land without having your spouse examined, because that will trigger section 117.9D in the regs, and you will be forever barred from sponsoring that spouse. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Lewis says, okay, Mark, I'm a Coper holder outland, but will land in October due to notice period in my job. Okay, do you think I should not wait that long and see if it will close for us again due to COVID increasing? Lewis, we just don't know. I'll be honest. We know that they're pushing forward. Alberta is open. So Alberta right now, my awesome province here, is open. We don't have those restrictions, but the federal government still reserves the right to, to close the borders. And I think you remember the Prime Minister even made comments that in the news release that they're pushing for September to open more globally to other countries, with individuals that are vaccinated and things like that can prove that they've got the vaccines that we recognize. But it's all contingent upon the spread of the virus, and the variants. So anything could happen, Lewis. And so my position always with my clients is come as soon as you can. But is it going to be too long? Well, you have to factor that out, and probably booking a consult and having us sort through it makes the most sense, but it's not something that I can give you any direct advice on other than those generalities. Okay. Okay. So, Razi says, can I apply for a PNP? Heck yeah, you bet you can. There's nothing stopping you. Okay. Suvia, I'll ring the bell there because I don't know what you're talking about. So which email or portal the AOR will go to? The email is always the one that you register with. And even if you're going through the portal, you'll still get a notification via email. So it's the email that you're registered with. Okay, this is another tough one. And I'll ring that bell as well for you, Farhat. So son unable to walk independently, but he holds and walks. Does this make him medically inadmissible? My husband's in Canada on an open work permit. I really recommend that you book a consult so that we can look at that a little bit more closely. And if it looks like there is any questions or doubts about admissibility, then I have 2 lawyers in Ontario that I refer all of my medical and admissibility files to, who are excellent. Okay. Okay, Nisrin says, for translating documents, is the translator membership number absolutely necessary on the translator's stamp? This one as well, I'm gonna ring that bell, Nisrin, because the reality is, it depends on where the translator is. And is the translator in Canada, outside of Canada? When it comes, are the Association of Translators and Interpreters in Ontario? Are they a member of another association in Canada? And in those situations, they should always have their membership number. And if they don't, well, immigration, as you're asking the question, but immigration is silent. I haven't ran into a situation where they've refused because someone doesn't have their actual membership number in the stamp. Is a stamp important? Yeah, it's essential. But the exact nature of that stamp and whether their number needs to be in the stamp or whether it's listed or written somewhere else, immigration has not yet given me enough response to know. And the reality is, when I'm submitting my applications, I always make sure everything is as perfect as it can be. And so I don't see a lot of negatives. It's only what you guys tell me. And at this stage, I haven't seen any pushback on that, but there's no guarantee that they would accept it without the number. I don't have any information, enough feedback from immigration to know. And as you've seen, the website is silent on that. Oh, this is a great question, Tewo. This is a great question. I'm going to give you this one applause. Okay, for fully vaccinated students coming in with under 12-year-old kids, Will they have to quarantine for 14 days at their DLI schools, or can they quarantine for 14 days at an apartment? This one, 100% Taiwo, you need to book a consult. And that's something that I would push you over to Alicia, who is really up to speed with that stuff. And those of you who probably are looking at the site know that Alicia has joined me in the past a lot. Alicia's actually been practicing longer than I have. But Alicia, she focuses on specifically this type of issue within our firm. And I'd recommend that you slide over there and book a consult with her, because this is something when you're trying to plan your entry, it's a reality, it's an issue. And we need to look at it in a little bit more depth to see, because understand, Taiwo, there are also provincial regulations as well that come into play that people very rarely talk about. So the destination is also important. Let's see here. Same thing, Zachariah, Hassan there. My Sierra score is 468. Should I wait for an invitation or go to Canada as an international student? That is something I can't answer. That's a specific question that requires a whole lot more information. Okay, let's see what else we have here as we're closing in. Okay, no, Ahmed, this is a great question. I'm going to give you applause as well, Ahmed, because this is a good one. So is claiming, this is employment insurance, EI, after submitting my express entry and receiving AOR can affect the process. It only comes down to whether or not you need to maintain work for a job offer. So when it comes to filing, if it's through the CEC or anything like that, even in those circumstances, receiving employment insurance benefits does not harm any application in any way. But the question in the background is your job. Was your job somehow required in the context of maintaining your eligibility under whatever permanent resident program you applied under? But no, just because you've received employment insurance, you are fully entitled to access it. You've paid into it and you have entitlement to it, and it does not affect your application in and of itself. But like I said, are you no longer working, or how is that impacting your PR? Okay, yes, there we go. Yes, Newfoundland, Labrador. Don't have any updates with that, my friend. Don't have any updates. Okay, and let's go through a couple more. We'll do a couple more answers here. Let's see. Okay, I'll answer the second one here, Syed. So the second one, because I've already talked about the first one, is it okay to apply for a work permit and PR simultaneously? And the answer is, it depends. So ultimately, if you're coming from India and you're applying for a work permit and you've also applied for permanent residence and you're outside Canada, which I'm assuming is the case when you say, when will the FSW draws begin? You're probably asking, I have a profile in the pool and I'm now considering applying for a work permit. Well, an officer can look at everything globally and determine whether or not they feel you'll return back to your home country if they grant the work permit. They can do that. They can make a determination, but it depends on the country you're coming from. So some countries are much more difficult. If you were doing that and you were coming from the US, there's going to be no issues at all. If you're coming from England, I would be very, very surprised if there were any issues. Australia, probably not an issue. India, Nigeria, South Africa, Guatemala, maybe. And so it's really case specific, and there isn't really any way of saying, what the impact might be. It's just situation dependent. It could have an impact, but just the simple fact of having a PR application without anything else, the officers can't refuse a work permit application just because you have a PR application submitted in and of itself, but they will often look at a number of other factors in their decision on whether or not to approve. But ringing the bell, Syed, same thing. I recommend that you book a consult. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Rakesh says, in express entry applications, should I upload T4s for temporary jobs while studying? While you're studying, you know as well as I do that you can't claim any points for those. So no, I wouldn't worry about doing that at all. And in fact, those temporary jobs while studying, I don't include in my work history. And that's something that you will learn if you go here to the express entry step-by-step course, and the master class associated with this course is 1 week of me every evening for 1 hour, in addition to all of the course materials associated with this. And all you have to do is go here and you can reserve your spot now. And then I'll let you know as soon as the cart is open officially to start bringing students in. But the course is looking to launch in September. I have had some people who've come, and you can see September the 13th. I have had some people who've come to me and say, look, Mark, I've got an ITA. Can I get access to the videos right away? And I have made some exceptions, so that is possible for you guys. But ultimately, when it comes to what to include and what not to include, the work experience gained while studying, if you're going through CEC for express entry, I include that in the personal history, but not in the work history. All right. Okay, last question I'll finish with Krishna here. Does the Canadian experience count from an LMIA approved or based on the work permit? It counts from the day that you actual work. So lots of people will obtain their work permit and then won't start for maybe a week. Well, ultimately, if it's an LMIA based work permit, it's the day that you start to work after the work permit has been issued. If you started working while the LMIA was in process, well, I hope you had an open work permit before that. But if that was the case, then the work experience, if it was an open work permit and you weren't on a study permit, you could count it back then. So I guess, Krishna, I'm hoping that you didn't start work earlier on an LMIA when it was approved, but you waited until you got the work permit approved and then started work. And it's the date that you actually started work. You don't just start counting it just because you have an LMIA. It's when you were actually performing the duties and working. All right. Okay. Well, I think at this stage, we are probably at a point where it is time to wrap this up. It has been an awesome live Q&A today. Thank you to everybody that has participated. I know there are a number of you that have not been able to get your questions answered, and it's just not possible to get through them. I know there's a bunch of people that were submitting these super chats, which I'm going to have to figure out because I've never seen them appear before. So it must be some new update with my eCam software. And individuals like Go Ishan Go here, please take my question. I only have an hour to do this, my friends, and so I go through and try to get as many questions as I can, but I can't always get to everyone. So remember, if you have a specific question, which is often a lot of you, and you feel like I wasn't able to answer it or I directed you to book a consult, please do it, because in a short period of time, I can set you up so that you no longer have doubt. We can actually talk about your situation. We can cover the facts, because it really is the facts. And that's one of the dangers online of just posting questions specific to you that are questions about what you should do. So it's different for, hey, what does immigration want for a reference letter compared to, should I apply for this now or should I apply for this, right? Those types of questions really need facts. So the best way to do that is through booking a consult. So hopefully you guys will be able to join me again. And next Wednesday, I'm actually going to be away in Lake Louise with my family. And the following week, I will be away as well. So the next 2 weeks, I may not do a live Q&A. I may do it at a different time, but it won't be right at this time because I'm going away for vacation for the next 2 weeks, and then I will be back. Okay. So thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of your input, all of your questions, because you guys are what makes this what it is. So thanks so much. And I wish you guys all the best, and stay tuned for these videos on specific topics that I will be releasing as a recording. All right. Take care, everyone.